You're watching the NWR Resources Conference, November 2020. On the line, we have Jeff Atkins from Vital Metals. Vital Metals aims to become the largest sustainable independent supplier of clean mixed rare earth feedstock to rare earth separation facilities outside of China, focused initially on its Nechalacho rare earths project in Northwest Territories, Canada. Vital is focused on a three-stage development approach over the next 5 years. Its subsidiary, Cheetah Resources, has signed a term sheet with the Saskatchewan Research Council, which sets out parameters for the design, procurement, construction, commissioning, and operation of a rare earth extraction plant. It is intended that Cheetah's rare earth extraction plant will produce a mixed rare earth carbonate product and will be located adjacent to SRC's recently announced rare earth processing facility. SRC's separation plant will be a potential customer of Cheetah's mixed rare earth carbonate products. Vital recently completed an $8 million placement to progress towards commencing operations in Q2 of calendar year 2021. We have Jeff Atkins joining us today. He is a civil engineer with more than 20 years of project and corporate development experience across commercial, industrial mining, and infrastructure sectors. As the Managing Director of Vital Metals, he has been responsible for driving projects from concept through feasibility and development to operational assets. Previously, he was Corporate Planning Manager at Linus Corporation, where he oversaw development and implementation of the corporate strategic planning process. Over to you, Jeff, with your presentation.
Thank you very much, and thanks for having me, and welcome everybody. Certainly a lot has happened in the last 12 months since I last presented in this forum, and great opportunity just to give a bit of an update on whereabouts we are at with Vital Metals and what we're looking at doing as we move forward. Obviously, we have the usual disclaimer there, which go through. So, look, I guess at very high level, as mentioned, Vital is on track to becoming the next rare earth producer with the target of commencing operations in 2021. We're taking a slightly different approach to a lot of other rare earth companies and are really focusing on a near-term cash flow, a near-term operation and a low-cost operation. So the target for our maximum construction cost is around about $20 million Aussie. And it will allow us to start operations next year, to then ramp up, and with a target then of achieving approximately a 5,000 tonne contained rare earth production by 2025. The key difference, I guess, with Vital compared to, I believe, a lot of other companies is we have a very experienced development team. Not just myself, but we have Tony Hadley, our COO, Matthew Edler, EVP Corporate Development, Ray Angulov, Canadian Production Manager. These are all people who have actually had a lot of experience actually developing rare earth projects. And I can't underestimate the importance of that. They've seen the problems which other projects have had. They've dealt with issues. And to me, that's a massive advantage which we have over a lot of other companies. Over the last, we have the rights to 2 world-class rare earth projects. We have the Nechalacho project in Canada that has a total contained resource of about 95 million tonne at 1.5% TREO, which is equivalent to about 1 million tonnes contained rare earths. And we also have the rights to the Wigoo Hill project in Tanzania upon that receiving its mining license. The key thing which is enabling us to implement this strategy is that we're working with projects which have very simple metallurgy. And what that means is that, particularly for Nechalacho, we're able to produce a very high-grade beneficiated product through simple ore sorting. And then because the mineralogy is well understood, it's amenable to leaching via hydrochloric acid and using industry standard processes. So to go into a bit more detail around, or before going into a bit more detail around the actual projects themselves, Just very briefly, from a capital structure perspective, as mentioned, we recently raised $8 million. So that brings our total cash in bank at a bit over 9 million. Our current market cap is around about $74 million. As mentioned, key strength of Vital is that our entire senior management team is very experienced in developing rare earth projects. If you look at the history of rare earth projects, every single one which has entered production over the last 10 years has experienced some problems during commissioning and ramp up. And the experience which this team has is going to be critical to us being successful with our implementation. I'll just move through that. The experience which we've gained over the last 10 to 15 years working in rare earths has enabled us to really evaluate what the appropriate strategy is for developing these projects. Historically, what would happen is companies would look at rare earths and really use a similar, your typical resource development approach. That means you maximize the size of the resource. You then maximize the size of your project relative to that resource. Unfortunately for rare earths, that really doesn't work. The problem you have is because it's classified as an industrial mineral and it's a specialty product, you have an extensive customer acceptance process, and that takes significant length of time to actually ramp up and commission the plant. So what that means is if you're developing a very large project, it might take you 4 to 5 years to actually enter production, and then you've got another couple of years of commissioning. And this time frame is really seen when you look at the number of projects which have been in development for 10 plus years and still haven't actually reached development. So understanding this, our approach was to do something a little bit different. We recognized that the key to being successful is to actually get into operation as quickly as possible for as low a cost as possible. But to do that, you have to recognize that there are phases and stages in the commissioning process and the customer acceptance process. Critically, the first stage is you need to demonstrate your capabilities to your customers. And this means providing product at specification and enabling your customers to ramp up their production with your product. So with this in mind, we have initiated a 3-stage development strategy. The first stage is the development of the Nechalacho North T project. And this is what will be entering production next year. That will be producing a mixed rare earth carbonate product, which will be sold into separation facilities. The Nechalacho project will enable us to demonstrate to our customers our ability to not only produce product at specification with consistency, but also the ability to ramp up production. Once we've reached the end of that demonstration phase, we'll then be at the point of steady state production. And at that point in time, we will then bring in our stage 2 development, which is the tardif zone at Nechalacho. This is a much larger zone with enough contained rare earths, and our target production for this zone will be in the region of about 5,000 tonne contained rare earths. However, this will obviously be dependent on conversations with our customers. Moving forward, we also then have the stage 3, which is to ensure that any production capacity has the flexibility to be able to adjust to market and customer requirements. And this is where we would see our Wigoo Hill project coming in. Having these 2 projects in operation then provides the opportunity to adjust our production model and production throughputs to meet the customer requirements. Now to start going into a bit more detail around exactly what we are doing at Nechalacho, and I'll really focus in on the North T zone at this stage. So For those who aren't aware, the Nechalacho project is located up in the Northwest Territories of Canada. We're very fortunate to be able to be having our first project in such a great mining jurisdiction. We're located about 100 kilometres from Yellowknife, and one of the key things about this project is that it has incredible infrastructure. The previous owners of the project, Avalon, they spent well over $100 million on feasibility work and project initiation work. What that means, if I'll just go through, is we have within site, we have a 40-person camp on site currently. The nature of the site means that we also have access to the Canadian National Railway. Mobilisation and demobilisation of equipment is very simple, as we're located on the Great Slave Lake, and that enables us to bring equipment, heavy equipment in over an ice road, and or alternatively via barge. And that really is a big advantage for us. What that means is that we're able to, we have very minimal enabling costs, and that's critical to be able to minimise any capital costs. The site itself consists of two distinct zones. What we have is the T zone, which is a very small little red dot at the top, and then further to the south we have the upper zone, and that is where the tardif zone is located. As mentioned, our initial focus is up on the T zone, and that will enable us to get into operation. Then we will move down to the southern areas. And as you can see from a scale perspective, the southern areas are certainly much larger than the northern ones. The reason why we're starting at the North T is that there's two reasons. The first one is it is an extremely high grade zone. It is certainly one of the highest grade rare earth deposits in the world, with intersections of upwards of 20% TREO. The resource itself is 105,000 tonne at a grade of close to 9%. Importantly, within that, the magnet metals, neodymium and praseodymium, make up about 24%. So that's a very high proportion, and it means that from a basket price perspective, we're able to achieve very good pricing. The deposit itself is shaped a bit like a wine glass, so that also, which is at surface, and that also enables a reduced mining cost. The second reason why we are moving or starting at the North T is the amenability of this deposit to very low cost processing. Critical to that is the ability to beneficiate using Xray sorting. What that means is that the ore body itself and the rare earths are contained within a red bastnasite, and that's in a background of quartz. So to beneficiate this, it is simply a matter of separating red from white. And as you can see from the pictures, there is a very clear difference between the two. The test results which we achieved using the Xray sorter on a single pass was achieving upwards of 36% rare earths. And that is as high as any other rare earth project has been able to achieve through things like flotation. Because we're able to use an Xray sorter, that means we don't have things like grinding circuits, we don't have tailings dams, we don't have reagents or processed water. That also means then that we have a very low impact on the local environment. Further, because we are, and the deposit there is contained within what's called a bastnasite mineralogy, the process flow sheet to actually then extract the rare earths from that beneficiated product is very well understood. And that's very important. Bastnasite projects have been operating for well over 50 years. The difficulty you have if you start to try to process a mineral which has never been processed before is you will always have a lot of uncertainties coming out. That's something which we are able to avoid. The net result of all of this is we have an exceedingly low capital cost for the ore sorter on site. The estimate which was provided by Halyard Engineering was about 3.7 million Aussie, fully installed. So that includes the ore sorter, which has already been delivered to a storage facility in Vancouver, substructure, which has been delivered to site, and then also air compressor, generator, conveyors, etc. Operations for the ore sorter, well, the ore sorter itself is scheduled to be mobilised to site across an ice road in the northern winter, with operations scheduled to commence mid-2021. Product from the ore sorter will then be transported down to the Saskatchewan Research Council, where we will be building a rare earth extraction plant. This plant will take that beneficiated product and using an acid will leach that product to produce a mixed rare earth carbonate. As announced, we have signed a binding term sheet with the Saskatchewan Research Council and are currently finalising our definitive agreements for the engineering, construction and operation of this plant. The plant will be co-located within SRC's rare earth separation facility, which they have recently announced funding for with the Saskatchewan government. That places our plant in an incredible position where it is co-located with North America's first new separation facility. And that provides us a really big opportunity, not only from a customer perspective, but it really puts us front and centre for the entire North American rare earth industry. The capital cost estimate, which SRC have provided as part of the term sheet for this plant, is approximately $5.3 million Australian, fully installed. So once again, we're really looking at a very low capital cost for that. Operations for this plant scheduled to occur towards the end of next year. The next steps for the North T, the key one here is to finalise the terms for our offtake agreement. This was hoped to have been completed previous quarter. However, with dotting I's, crossing T's, this has taken a little bit longer, but we're very comfortable with the way that this process is moving. That is really the key task for us to complete. Other than that, we are entering into the development phase with site works and construction of the rare earth extraction facility to commence. And over the winter, we will also then be undertaking further drilling and sampling works in the regional geology. After the North T, we'll then move down to the Tardif zone. Tardif zone is a much larger deposit, has about 1 million tonnes contained rare earths. Our focus within this zone is going to be that Tardif zone. And the reason we're focusing on that is it contains very similar mineralogy to the North T. This means that we'll be looking to leverage off the work which has been completed with North T, specifically with regards to ore sorting and also the leaching, purification and precipitation work. That means that any development work there will be able to be fast-tracked as we utilise our operational plant. As discussed, over the summer, or over our summer, the northern winter, we will be undertaking a drilling program, an infill drilling program at Tardif, which will just increase that resource of the Tardif zone from about the 3 million, and hope to increase that. Lastly, we will then be moving forward onto Wigoo Hill. Now, the Wigoo Hill project has a lot of potential. It's located in Tanzania, has a lot of potential for a large-scale operation. I won't get into too much detail today, as this is we are waiting on mining license there before we progress this project. But we are very excited about the potential with Wigoo Hill. And one of the reasons why we are is that, as with the North T project and the Tardif project, once again, it has large discrete bastnasite crystals. This means that lessons learned at Nechalacho can then be applied at Wigoo Hill. And it also means it has that same amenability to simple processing. And I think that's very important. It's everything which we do from one stage to the project to the next, we'll be able to apply those lessons learned, and exactly the same way as what we've been able to apply the lessons we've learned through the last 10 to 15 years of operating rare earth projects. So in conclusion, I guess I'd just like to highlight that we have, if you look at the journey which Vital Metals has been on over the last 12 months or so since we purchased Cheetah and the rare earth assets, I think it really is quite incredible to think that in 12 months we have moved to the point of having a ore sorter ready to be delivered to site and preparing ourselves to commence operations. And when you consider typically for a rare earth projects take 5, 6, 7 years to develop, I think that's a pretty incredible achievement and puts us in a very good position for what's coming ahead within the rare earth industry. And yeah, I'm really excited about the opportunities that we have. Obviously, at the moment, rare earths are they're a hot topic, both in terms of electrification of vehicles as well as the geopolitical discussions between US and China. And by entering into production within the next 12 months, it puts Vital in an incredible position to fully take advantage of the growth in demand. And I think that...
Thank you so much for that, Jeff. A couple of questions that have come through for you over the last 20 minutes or so. Firstly, what did Avalon spend the $100 million on, and was that advantageous to Vital?
Okay, so what Avalon spent their money on, I'll just bring it back. If you look at this diagram, the area of the project which we own is the top 150 meters. Avalon really focused down on the bottom zone, which is what's shown in the green. And they were focusing on what was called the basal zone. From a mineralogy perspective, they focused on a different mineral and different products. The key areas, though, which benefit us is on permitting. So they spend a lot of time and a lot of effort obtaining land use permits, water licenses. And what that means is that we've been able to utilise those permits, which is enabling us to mobilise a mining fleet next year and enter operations next year. They also spend a lot of money on site infrastructure. So as I mentioned, we have a 40-person camp on site. We also have an airstrip. And so all of those sort of things have really enabled us to, it greatly reduces our capital costs in terms of that enabling infrastructure.
Thank you. We've got a couple of questions around offtake agreements. Do you have binding offtake agreements in place? And also someone's asking, how close is an offtake agreement? Okay.
We don't have any binding offtake agreements in place at this stage. Our negotiations are advanced with a number of groups. Due to the specialist nature of rare earths, there are a lot of details which need to be gone through before you actually get to that point. I can't provide a timeline of exactly when that's going to occur, other than the fact that we are extremely positive with the way that the discussions are proceeding and would hope to have something announced shortly.
Thank you. And I'm not sure if you can talk to this, Jeff, but I'll ask you anyway. What price would you currently receive for your product?
I can't comment on that, I'm afraid. That's part of the negotiations with our customers.
Yeah, thank you so much. Any closing remarks from you, Jeff?
No, look, main thing I'd just like to thank for the opportunity to present here today.
Thank you, and thanks everyone for watching.
Thank you.